If I would have been writing this review of the Mclaren 720S a couple of weeks ago, I would have summed it up as an understeer mess that somehow manages to make you feel like you're going 2,000 miles an hour faster than the speed of light, while also being 4 seconds off the pace. However, since the 2020 BOP changes have come to ACC, this Mclaren finally feels really good. I'm actually finding it a bit difficult to believe I'm driving the same car. The difference between the 2019 and the 2020 BOP, along with the new tire model, is kind of crazy. The Mclaren 720S was first introduced in 2019 as a direct successor to the Mclaren 650S. The most noticeable differences between the two is the much more angular and, well, a bit more angry looking design of the overall body of the car. However, the engine has also been upgraded. Sporting the 4-liter twin-turbo M840T V8 engine, it produces 710 horsepower at 7,000 RPM, and it has a maximum torque of 770 Newton-meters at 5,500 RPM. Let's talk about what you notice when you first get into the car. The dash. Oh my lord, I swear this is the best looking dash in the game in my opinion, especially when you consider the amount of info on the dash itself, as well as the visibility out of the windshield. Sure, it does feel like you're sitting a bit high and looking down at the track, but I think there's a reason why this car has such a good sense of speed, and the amount of visibility you have coupled with the seating position is why. The new tire model in ACC has been a massive talking point recently, and it's really because it's been the thing to cause the biggest difference in the way the cars handle, more so than the BOP change. It has tougher sidewalls, so it tends to last a bit longer while offering a bit better mid-corner grip. This is very apparent in the Mclaren. Beforehand, to make it the quickest way around the corner, you had to angle the Mclaren towards the apex just as you start to brake, meaning you'd be braking at more of a diagonal line towards an early apex. This was to try to mitigate its poor braking performance while also utilizing the rotation offered under braking. Once you come off the brakes, it was difficult to get the car to rotate as there was a significant amount of front-end understeer. It was a very front-engine behaving mid-engine car. While it still feels a bit front-engine-like, the Mclaren has so much more mid-corner grip now. The car feels legitimately responsive to steering inputs and mid-corner corrections, and you can finally feel where the tires do have grip and when the front tires begin to lose their grip. As I alluded to earlier, the Mclaren had really poor brakes. It took a lot longer for this to stop than the Bentley or the Aston Martin took to stop. The brakes after the update feel like an improvement, but it's still not too great. To make a long story short, corner entry and mid-corner feeling has completely changed, and it feels like a dream now. Although its corner exit and acceleration has remained constant. Speaking of which, even though the McLaren's acceleration has remained constant, that doesn't necessarily mean it's good or bad. Honestly, it's just kind of meh to me. It's not great or amazing, but it's not bad by any means. One thing this car does need, however, is revs. If you start to exit a corner and you're one gear too high or your revs drop too much, it's gonna take eons for it to get back up to speed. Okay, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but it really does need to have its revs kept up. If you remember from the earlier part of this video, this car puts out its max horsepower at 7,000 RPM. Basically, you want to be close to that throughout a corner in its exit. I feel like I've given off mixed signals throughout this video as to whether I enjoy this car or not. I truly do enjoy it, and I enjoy it even more now that the 2020 BOP and tire model have helped it feel even better than it did before. I find the Mclaren to also be fairly sensitive to rake changes. By rake changes, I mean the difference between the ride height of the front and the rear of the car. The more rake angle you have equates to more rotation of the car. The reason that rake angle is so important for the Mclaren is because it has a decently long wheelbase, coming in at 2,670 millimeters long. Because the wheelbase is a bit longer, it helps the car be stable through high-speed corners, but slow, twisty bits of track tend to be its weakness, unless you get that rake angle correct. For comparison's sake, the Mclaren has a slightly longer wheelbase than the Ferrari 488 and even the Mercedes, which is even shorter than the Ferrari. Granted, all of these cars have wheelbases within 40 millimeters of each other, but, you know, it's still longer. I'm pretty sure there's a joke in there somewhere. The Mclaren 720S is the perfect, I want to go fast, but I don't want to be in the meta car sort of car. While it is great fun to drive, and while it is fast, it does take a bit of work to extract the most out of the car. When you do, though, it's very rewarding. That's it for this one, fellas. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons. It really does help me out. I do stream on Twitch almost every day as well, where I host community lobbies and events on ACC, as well as some league events. It's a great time over there, and I do hope to see you there. Have yourselves a good one.